Hello everybody, Tracy Brown here, and this video is going to be, I think, something we never remember, or at least I sometimes forget, to just come out and call it like it is to be able to know when we've had enough of certain foods and to be able to build trust and to eliminate the fear of feeling out of control around a food. Sometimes the only answer is we just have to eat the food. And so what I mean by that is that there's a level of making a decision that there is going to be a time where we're going to be scared to eat the amount of chips that we need to eat to make peace with them. And it's almost like you can't really dodge around that. And most people do. I did the same thing. And I know that definitely is one of the factors, not the only factor, but one of the factors that took me 7 years to figure out intuitive eating. To me, that's 7 years way too long. I think most of us can get to a really good place in that process, within 2 years, honestly, from like start to finish. Doesn't mean you're completely free of every body image thing ever, but it just means that if you're starting at a place of like, I just came off a diet. I just got through with the refeeding phase of being diagnosed with a disorder, eating disorder. I am just binging all the time, and it's not really, it feels just really chaotic. And so if I eat all the foods, Tracy, when I just stop, won't I ever not stop? The truth is, in all those situations, is if we don't allow ourselves to catch the diet mentality under all those circumstances, just come off a diet, just got through refeeding from a disordered eating, and your signals are more available to you to hear, or if you're binging, it's that if we have any kind of good food, bad food in our head, it's going to impact our behaviors about how we feed ourselves, whether under, over, whatever. Like if you're eating more, but you're feeling guilty the whole time you're eating it, there's still some diet mentality in there, even if you're not restricting your intake. And so I think the challenge with hearing this message is like, we've got to eat the food, is that we're not going to make peace with chips or ice cream or Pop-Tarts or whatever food until we eat it. I mean, intuitive eating isn't really that much of an intellectual process. There's a little bit, learning the hunger fullness scale, so you have a guidepost. Learning that, that so much of our diet industry, our diet culture was created to put people in this bondage. And so learning that exists, learning that body image issues are learned, are created, and we don't always have another option. We learn all that stuff. That's wonderful. It's cognitive and it's emotional, but really, when it gets right down to, intuitive eating is a very experiential process, and we have to do it. We have to try different foods. We have to eat some chips at maybe our lunch and dinner to make peace with those, so they're not as special, and let it go that you're eating more high-fat foods right now. Let it go that that's happening, and the only way you're ever going to trust is that you find those places where, like, you put that handful of chips on your plate, or 2 or 3 handfuls, and you eat it all, and then one day, whether it takes 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever, 6 months, you're like, you don't finish them, or you don't want them anymore, or they really aren't as good as you thought they'd be, or they've really lost their appeal. So the only time we get to that place is if we experiment and do it. And so you may have seen some of my other videos. If you haven't, there's several. You can dig through the videos here on Facebook, on my Facebook page if you want, but a lot of them have already been kind of put to YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can see where I talked about not eating fruit and vegetables for 6 months, having bags and bags of Oreos in my house to where I had them as much as I wanted, the best I could with hunger and fullness, until I recognized, like, oh, okay, so eating Oreos from hunger and fullness, even if I'm eating 15 to 20 a day, isn't making me exponentially change in weight. And so I wouldn't have known that. I still would have believed that, like, eating more than 1 or 2 at a time would have caused that, or I've been afraid about my health. And like I say, experimented. And again, I wasn't having anybody tell me to do these things. It was more So I'm encouraging you, because again, this was like a 7-year-long process of me figuring this out before all these resources and people who are like me now who talk about it a lot were available. It's like I was just so desperate of stopping this restrict binge cycle that I just figured, I keep eating these foods when I don't eat as much XYZ in the first half of the day, so I'm just going to eat these foods as much as I want and not stuff myself or feel sick, but this is what I'm going to do. And that was some of the experiential work I did, like I will get sick of these. And I didn't believe that mentally. I was just so fearful. I was so in my head. I was trying, and that's where people get in trouble, and what makes it take so much longer with intuitive eating and that's not your fault. We're going to talk about why we do that in a second. But just to know, when we're trying to mentally control what our body needs or what we need to eat to recover, then it's like you have your foot on the brake and the gas at the same time, and it's really frustrating. And I've been there, so I remember. So what I'm encouraging you is you got to eat the food. If let's say you let yourself have, let's say, Oreos or ice cream or whatever, and you find yourself still thinking about it, you can ask yourself, am I still hungry? And sometimes the answer is not really, but I want to keep eating it. Maybe you need to eat 3 more bites to be done, or maybe another handful to be done. And then it's like, okay, I'm done. And that could be just as a measure of your body saying, okay, I'm good and full now, or a little over full, and I don't want any more of this. And you build a link of trust with your body that says, yeah, you'll feed yourself to completion, not to sickness, but to completion. And that's what we're looking to do. So that's what I'm trying to say is that I would also recommend, if you have faulty beliefs about food, that you believe that sugar makes you fat or fat makes you fat or this or that happens, I can tell you right now that languaging is definitely based on fear-mongering of some industry to get you to do something in a way that benefits them. That's just the bottom line. It's just how it's going to be, because human beings would figure out how to eat and eat the food they had available to them in a way that wasn't destructive if there wasn't so much pressure on staying young and never dying and trying to please each other, but by the way we look. That's the bottom line. So if any of those little sprinklings of stuff that you sense are in whatever it is that you're afraid of, well, that's on us to be able to, like, okay, who benefits from me being really scared of sugar? What industries, what fitness thing, what green smoothie company, what diet, whatever, whomever benefits from me being afraid about this, that kind of thing. Because again, the goal of all non-diet professionals is to help you opt out of that whole system and be able to be listening to your own inner wisdom about how you should take care of yourself, feed your body, what's right for you, that kind of stuff, in a not fearful situation. Being choiceful is a whole lot different than being fearful. So keep that in mind too when you make your food decisions and how you go about doing food experiments. I'm not suggesting that anybody eat to the point of sickness and feel terrible. I don't want that. If you're struggling with binge eating and you're like, I can't do what you're suggesting, Tracy, and have donuts around because I will eat the whole box, I hear you. So for you to be able to eat these donuts in a different kind of way that's not bingey, we've got to figure out how to set up some eating experiments where you do get to eat those in a way that feels contained, not dieted, not restrictive, but in a way where you feel like you've got some grounding and you've got some boundaries and you know where you stand and that kind of thing with the food. I've talked about this a lot in my other videos, and so we're not going to go too deeply into it. So you can go back and look at some of the, like, all my videos. I talk about, like, why we still diet, why we can't let go of disordered eating or dieting. And it's not just about the food rules and all the head anxiety. A lot of it's going to have to do with, like, restricting and binging and dieting and all eating disorders. They are a way of trying to help ourselves regulate our nervous systems as well. And so that's a whole other topic. I've done some videos about that. I'll continue to do more. I'm going to do a class about it pretty soon so you all can understand the science around it, so you can understand, like, oh, this isn't just about, diet culture fuels. It's like gasoline on the fire of all of our insecurities and our stresses and our, trying to cope, which just, fuels the fire of making it worse. So we never really get to be regulated. We just get to be really good and numbed out and distracted, but we don't get to really heal. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. Hi, Sue. Hi, Elena. Hi, Nick. Thank you for watching live. I appreciate it. And everybody on the replay, please leave your questions, comments, concerns, if this was helpful or not. I appreciate knowing about that. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here for today, but we have to learn to eat the food to get satisfied. For me, I think this took a good year of eating what I wanted to and knowing that I was breaking every health and nutrition quote-unquote rule in the book to be able to it gets to the place where all food is food, and you hear really clearly about what your body wants and needs and how much of certain things you can tolerate, and that's always going to change, and so you have to relearn a little bit again. But the next time and the next time, the next time that you learn about a change in your body, it's like you greet it with oh, okay. And, sometimes it's not always that easy. If you have a food that just isn't working that well anymore that you really love, that's sad and we grieve that. But it's not met with the same, oh my gosh, I can never find something I like as much or whatever. We're able to be more at peace with it. And again, it's choiceful. And we decide how we want to feel even if we eat a food that doesn't work. So that's coming from a place of choice, not a place of fear. Hope this was helpful. I'll see everybody real soon. Take care. Bye.